All right, it's 3 p.m. Good afternoon, everyone. A very warm welcome to today's panel discussion brought to you by HR Association of India. At HRAI, our mission is to create platforms that connect, inspire, and empower professionals through meaningful conversations and shared learning. On behalf of HRAI, I extend a warm welcome to all our participants to today's discussion on this insightful topic. AI is everywhere, so where's the real competitive advantage? First and foremost, our heartfelt thanks to our esteemed speakers for joining us today and contributing their valuable perspective to this panel discussion. We are truly honored to have such accomplished leaders with us, bringing their expertise and experience to today's discussion. To know more about our speakers, you may follow them on LinkedIn. Their profiles have been shared in the chat window. For more information about HRAI and our upcoming events, please refer to the links shared in the chat. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce our moderator for today's session, Mr. Amit Gujral. Mr. Amit Gujral is one of Indian industry's revered corporate leader. A computer science graduate, Mr. Gujral's foray into marketing from being head of R&D erstwhile was the result of him mastering the art of strategy by interlinking product propositions with creativity, getting deserved recognition. A true change maker, he has harnessed the power of changing era from being physical to digital and helped navigate brand trade through ever evolving consumer environments and buying behaviors. A leader par excellence, Mr. Amit Gujral has always impressed with his prowess and passion for products and brand storytelling in very intriguing manner. A professional veteran who have been serving industry for over 30 years has been rewarded with all coveted and recognized awards in the country. He is a strong advocate of innovation and entrepreneurship in every professional sphere, be it R&D, sales, and marketing. A keen observer of consumer behaviors and an avid implementer of strategic accordingly. A strong first mover in implementing data analytics and digital technologies to create stronger consumer connections through marketing. To sum up, he is amongst rare talents in India who transformed not only his career from helming R&D in leadership role to helming chief marketing officer roles, but also contributed to transform brands to be household names in the country. Now, without wasting much time, I invite Amit to take over and lead us through this insightful discussion. Over to you, Amit.
Thank you so very much, Faisal. Uh, I never knew that you would talk so much about myself. Good. Thank you so very much. So it brings me back to my young days, when we used to challenge ourselves every day in terms of what new is in store for us to talk to our customers. Lovely. So starting off good afternoon, everyone, to all the audiences and my fellow participants. AI, the world's most smallest two-character word, but humongously used. In fact, time sooner than ever, I think it might replace OK as the shortest word being most used. Well, thank you so much, HR Association of India, for curating this very interesting event. AI is everywhere. Yes, it is everywhere. In the news, in the talks, in discussions, in boardrooms, almost everywhere. For both the threats it brings and the value add it provides. So I think the bigger and time sensitive question is how and where AI is getting implemented. Practically, in what spheres of life we are getting touched by AI. So I think we are absolutely blessed, honored to have wonderful ensemble here. So let's get to know from our panelists. And I would request all of you one by one to please introduce yourself to the audiences. And I would urge Sudhanshu to start off with.
Amit, thanks a lot for giving the opportunity. Thank you, HR Association of India. It's an honor to be with the panel here. The curiosity was to learn. The topic was very intriguing, and we're all experimenting in our own rights and experiencing it every day, the way the world evolves. I'm Sudhanshu Tripathi. I am the Chief Marketing Officer for a brand called Quickheal. Quickheal is a cybersecurity pioneer. We have been at the forefront of innovation and cybersecurity for the last 30 years. We're an AI native brand. I'll talk more when we get into the discussion. But for now, uh, just enjoying the reset moment because AI has done a lot of resets as compared to uh, other technologies in past, and that also allows a lot of participation. It's kind of inclusive, if I may say so, and it's an opportunity for each one of us. And as we uncover, we'll delve deeper into the conversation. So thank you, Amit.
Thanks to you. Can we have Vinod, please?
Thanks, Amit, and thanks HRAI for inviting me to be a part of this discussion. I'm really looking forward to share my insights, and of course also learn in the process. I head the marketing for 24/7 .ai. We are in the CX space, customer experience space, where we support CX services, provide CX services to some of the world's leading brands. So yeah, it's interesting. Of course, the topic is very interesting. Of course, like we all know that AI is everywhere, and what's the real differentiation and what's the real competitive advantage that we have, and of course, looking forward for the discussion.
Great. Thank you so much. Jitin, please.
Hey, hi, I'm Jitain. I work as a customer care associate and chief marketing officer for Shopperstop. It's been a privilege to be a part of the August audience. I will try to share whatever I have understood and learned about AI and how are we leveraging it in our day-to-day business.
Well, thank you so much, all three of you. It's once again truly a pleasure to have you for this 60 minutes. I'm sure that we shall learn from each other, and also the audiences who are witness to this would get some takeaways. As I said, AI being everywhere, the challenge, real challenge is where it is, in what spheres of life we are experiencing AI. And I think that experience comes through various companies, various organizations who are implementing it, right? So this brings me to ask my first question to Sudhanshu. Sudhanshu, we say that, and we have been hearing it about very, very loudly, that AI shall replace humans in more than one ways across industry verticals and across industry practices. I believe and I'm sure that this threat remains only in talks and not in reality. So I know of that you are working with cybersecurity and you spoke about last 3 decades. So truly we are very much eager to hear from you. How are you blessing teams of humans and agents together? So over to you, Sudhanshu.
So thank you for that question. And on the question of humans being replaced, I don't think that the future is human versus AI. And most of us would agree that the future is human with AI and humans without AI. So that is what we are looking at. Now, when we look at past developments, okay, any major disruption, right from introduction of electricity to internet to smartphones, initially it created an environment of fear before it created the opportunity. And that is where we are looking at AI at this particular stage. Uh, Now, yes, a lot of repetitive transactional tasks will get automated, and we also would love uh, if those things get automated, because as we know, even when we have worked in team, we have typically looked at grabbing to the core, outsourcing what we think is repetitive, non-core. Earlier, that has been done to other humans outside your own domain. Here we are talking about technology taking over that particular aspect. But what becomes more valuable is the distinct human capability, creativity, judgment, empathy, ethics, intuition, storytelling, leadership, uh, our ability to connect the dots across ambiguity. That is truly unique to us humans. That is what will continue to be with us. Even, say, for example, at Quick Heal, which, as I said, is AI native, 3 decades. Uh, Currently, for last few years, AI has become a mainstream discussion for us in cybersecurity. It is the way we have kind of lived so far, because without technology and without automation at scale, in those many words, the industry itself will collapse because of the scale at which the threat kind of emerges. We can't just fall back on manual effort to contain. Now, today, as you did mention, I do run parallel teams. So, for example, if I give you an example for marketing, we do have a full-fledged team which takes care of uh, both B2C and B2B brands and their own set of kind of dynamics. But parallelly, what I have been also kind of doing is set up an independent agentic team which does the research. There is a kind of AI agent which does all the research work. Then there is a team lead which, again, this is an agent which will score what is the most relevant in our context. The top scoring kind of topic goes to the content writer. Again, that's an agent which creates the content in my brand voice, my tonality. Okay. And then parallelly gives an input feed to the creative agent, which creates the creative which will go along. Then again, there is an evaluation. There is a human in the loop feedback. Upon approval, there is a publisher agent which schedules it. So that is something we are running in parallel. It's not kind of replacing the current teams, which exactly does something similar. So this is an experiment, you can say. We will see. And again, even in past, if you look at how organizations have evolved, when we automated things, a lot of times when we digitize things, we continue to keep a physical copy for a good amount of time before not having the need to preserve it. And then we totally became digital. So that's the kind of phase we are in at this point in time. Now, AI dramatically will improve the speed, scale, efficiency. But as I said, the human judgment with the right context will be the differentiator or the responsible oversight. Even the agentic team I talked about has a human in loop right now. Now, that is how kind of we are experiencing it internally. And this is the marketing aspect in our products. As I said, we have been AI native, right from identification anomalies to determining the patterns, looking at the behavioral play of different agents. There are a lot of actions get taken to contain, protect, and secure the environment. So that anyway is at play at scale. And in summary, how I see things moving, Amit, right now, or I see it in 3 phases. One is a stage where we are looking at unlocking human efficiency, so doing things faster. Many of us are in that particular stage where we have looked at automation or AI to kind of move past things where we are able to do things faster. The second phase, which I look at, is human amplification, where lesser number of people will do more things. Okay. Again, it's an evolved form of efficiency, but the number of people get reduced. Maybe others get involved in other things which they can do more meaningfully. And the third phase I see is the human reinvention or things which so far we have not been able to comprehend is doable, gets done through AI. Now that's kind of ability to do things which we thought are not possible. So that's the third stage. That's again requires evolution at our end, and whoever holds on across these phases will be the winner. So it's not about replacement. It's how do we adapt to these changes. And I have seen humanity adapt to so many things. And I'm genuinely kind of confident that humans will adopt in this situation as well, because the confidence comes from the history. So that's my take on the question. Hope I did justice to the question that you asked.
Truly. Indeed, I think the start has been very, very nice with the flashpoint news. A man versus machine has always been spoken about since eternity, and it will continue to be. And AI is being, again, I see them as a machine only, nothing beyond it. Because some code, some models, some hardware, some software, something is working and giving us automation. So good news, machine will not replace humans. Take it, Sudhanshu.
Definitely.
Lovely. It's a sigh of relief for many of the people who must be hearing us. Wonderful. It brings me to Mr. Vinod. Straight away question, Vinod, to you. In your industry, where have you seen AI move beyond experimentation and actually create a measurable competitive advantage for your business?
Thanks for the question, Amit. It's interesting, of course, if you look at it, our industry, right? I'm part of the CX industry, and AI is not new for our industry. Brands in our industry have long leveraged predictive AI in the past in the form of chatbots, in the form of messaging platforms, and to automate routine customer interactions. It was always there in the form of predictive AI. Of course, what has changed in the last few years is the generative AI. With generative AI, I think the ability to understand the context, engage in a natural conversation, and handle increasingly complex customer issues, that has changed. So as a result, today, many organizations are investing in agentic AI. They're investing in agentic AI operating framework that can just go beyond, routine tasks, right? To taking decisions, to orchestrating workflows, and also, right, which can drive a end-to-end resolution from just handling a query with the predictive AI models. Now the industry is looking at how can I do a customer resolution end to end. So that's the big shift that has happened, right? So today, while we are all talking about how can we handle regular queries, normal, all of that, but the goalposts has shift to, hey, can you solve it like end to end? That's what's happening in terms of the industry. While this is happening, I think what some of the people are seeing benefits is, well, like it is a transformation space, right, for our industry, the CX industry. But however, whoever has adopted some of the brands and all of them, they're seeing the reduced customer times, the reduced customer support costs, and of course, which can boost agent productivity, agent training times, the real-time guidance for agents, and faster access to knowledge. This is what is happening in our industry. It is an interesting phase, but again, like Sudhanshu mentioned, all of this happens, like if you're looking at a resolution, it does not happen completely without the human in the loop. Human is important, right? Some things which agentic AI or a bot or a agentic AI operating system can't solve, human is part of the agentic AI operating system.
Just taking it further to what you spoke in terms of some specific examples, if you can put forth in terms of which brands has been doing what.
Of course, I think one of the most important brands, I don't want to take brands in specific, but the retail industry has taken a lot of leverage in this agentic AI space, right? Retail industry, the travel and hospitality industry, those are the industries that have taken advantage of this, this emergence, and they're really trying to deliver solutions that can solve a customer, queries, resolve queries.
Okay. Good one. See, we have so far we have heard somewhere thoughts from somebody who has been in the world of cybersecurity. And here we have somebody who is talking about AI itself as the main business core. And this brings me to something very much close to the hearts of people, apparels. So coming to Jitin. Jitin, you being from Shoppers Stop, I'm sure you know your constant challenge is to outsmart the trends and choices. And hence, I personally feel that your dependence on data, typically the customer behavioral choices based data, would be very interesting for you to play on and blend with AI and AI tools. Could you just express yourself and how are you really working on this?
Yeah. Yes, so I think thanks for getting me in the conversation. So as you know, we are in a space of retail, apparel, and not only apparel, we sell from apparel to beauty, a whole lot of range. And the interesting part about this industry is that it is at the cusp of functionality and emotional. So you just don't buy a shirt, you buy a look for yourself. So there is an emotional angle in your conversation. You buy a brand because you feel for the brand or you feel this is the right thing for you. And with Shoppers Stop being around for almost 3+ decades, our loyalty program, one of the, you can say, the milestone in retail where we have around millions of customer data. And over the years, we have observed their behavior. So with the scale and the volume which we get, so we get around approximately 50 million people walking in our stores across the country. And then the loyalty piece. So with all this data coming in, AI plays a very important role for us. And if I have to put this, there are three parts to this whole thing. One is the personalization aspect, other is the sensing of demand, and third one is the CLM part, which is the customer lifecycle management, that what is happening and how can we make it better. And in each one of them, there is a role of tech and AI. I think what it is helping us to do is to become sharper. It is also helping us to predict things better. So there's a lot of affinity which takes place. So when an individual walks into a retail store, let's say in this case, Shoppers Stop, someone is starting a journey with the apparel, someone is starting a journey with the fragrance, someone is starting a journey with the watch. Now, at a scale, we can figure out that what are the affinity of each of these categories in terms of the brand and in terms of the next best product which the customer would buy. And that helps us to create trigger programs, whether it is in terms of the app notification or whether it is in terms of the communication to the customer. Also, from an omni-channel behavior, it helps us that if you have bought something offline, which is the best category which you will buy online. So with it's becoming more intelligent, more sharper, and I think the advantage is to the customer because the customer is able to get communication which is more relevant. And as an organization, we intend to not to spam the customer, but to give him a value proposition which is interesting for him. So this is where we are in terms of these three aspects. And then there are multiple use cases, whether it is about season launches, whether it is about launching in newer cities or brands. It tells us that okay, this is the cohort which is the first mover, and these are fence sitters for us. So if you have to start the journey, which are the people we need to engage and so and so on. So I think that's what we are leveraging right now.
Great. What I, from my standpoint, understand being into a direct consumer facing industry, I'm very sure that Jiten, you must be using all sorts of forms of AI, whether it is agentic or generative or predictive. Just correct me if I'm not found it correctly. I think majority of use cases would be in your side would be on predictive AI usage.
Predictive plays a very important role. But what has happened over the time is that the generative is also creating, so predictive definitely. So just to give you that, if you enter in a store and the offer or the communication which you should receive, we
Yeah.
predict based on the past history of people or cohorts. Like, so we have our database in multiple cohorts, and we have created segmentation around it. So we know that this type of creative, this type of communication, this type of offer, we can also say that the brand X consumer will behave in this format. Okay, so we have approximately 500 plus brands which retail through us. So our data is not only consumed for Shoppers Stop, but also for these brands to, look at their sales, look at their collection, which range will work, which range will not work, which cities will work for them. So predictive plays a very critical piece, but generative now, because of this whole, we are talking about the segment of one. And with the segment of one, the generative aspect is becoming more and more important.
Nice. Yeah, because as I said, for a consumer facing brand or somebody who is into consumables, I think generative is the face, predictive is the backend. It's
Yeah.
very simple because
Yes. Yes.
so this is what I'm saying for the larger audiences here.
Yeah.
Great. This gets me back to Vinod. Vinodji, your implementation is majorly carried out in the field of marketing. Could you shed some light on practical implementation of AI in marketing, and how have you realized again measurable benefits for on those implementations?
Sure, sure. Thanks for the question. So maybe before I answer that, I just want to take a step back and kind of give you how the impact of AI on a marketing industry in general, right? I think when OpenAI, Mid Journeys of the world came in, so it's like I would treat that as a phase one of the AI wave, right? So that is the time when AI got treated as a replacement for humans. Like generative AI could automate execution, and agentic AI can then automate the decision loops, right? So basically, both were treated initially as substitutes for human judgment. That's the first phase, I would say, AI as a replacement. And of course, a lot of brands got onto it, a lot of marketing teams, got onto this. And then there is this phase two that has emerged, which I call it as a phase one AI as a replacement, but phase two I would call AI breakdown and overreach. What I mean by that is, while generative AI, agentic AI, people started using it, organizations started using it, the scale, they increase the scale, but however, they found some similar like failures, right? Like for example, the loss of meaning, the trust erosion, the quality dilution, such things, optimization of wrong outcomes. You automate something and something else comes out. That's what the phase two, so a lot of things, we were able to see the cracks, right? And then we are in a phase three, right, which I call it as human governed hybrid model, which is of course, AI, executes task, but however, it has to be governed by human. So that's the phase that we are in, right? AI can execute at scale, a lot of things can happen to AI, but it has to be governed by human. Because if you leave it on its own, then you will go back to this phase two, which we've overcome, which is the trust erosion, which is the breakdown and overreach. So that's before I answer the question, I just wanted to give an overview of how the kind of impact that AI had over the last 2 3 years, right? In terms of marketing, of course, we are using AI for a lot of things. So in some functions, we are little ahead. In some functions, we're experimenting. Like for example, we're creating agents which can do research, which can get us the market research, which can do competition research, competition intelligence, right? Market planning. We're creating agentic AI for that. We're also we've created agents for creating content, let's create those drafts. But again, it has to be reviewed by human. It cannot be taken as is whatever we create or using this, generative AI using agentic AI. Coming out with campaign ideas, content ideas. It could be as simple as social media posts. It could be as simple as emails in the B2B marketing environment. So we're creating agents for that, and agents are working. And agents, of course, also has to be trained. You just need to create an agent. It needs to be trained over a period of time to understand your needs and what is the kind of outcomes that we have to achieve basis that. Of course, we're also using agentic AI for creating proposals, so on and so forth. We use agentic AI for campaign optimization, coming out with campaign metrics. Some of the reports are also being automated using AI. Use AI for design. So pretty much, I think, like I said, a lot of agents can be created to automate marketing workflows, automate marketing works, all of them. But however, right, any agent that we create and the output has to be reviewed by that expert. Let's say, for example, you create an agentic AI for content, and it then generates a content. It has to be reviewed by a content specialist. It cannot be reviewed by a campaign specialist, because maybe now it cannot be reviewed. Maybe once the agent is trained over a period of time, maybe a non-SME can review. So SMEs have to review that and have to govern that. So I think that is the model. So by the whole process, what happens? Of course, your productivity increases, your efficiency increases. You're able to generate more work at scale. In a typical research report would take a month. You would close it in 3 days. You can work on more reports. You can get more deeper. Those kind of things are some of the benefits. But I don't think we've seen a human replacement benefit so far, honestly. Right? We've been talking about this since the last 3.5 years. I could give, I'm also from an advertising background. I spent quite a number of years in advertising. When the agentic AI came, generative AI came, okay, content writers are going to get replaced, designers are going to get replaced. But today, the lot of advertising agencies are hiring back content writers, hiring back designers. So the creativity, empathy, and rational and context is something that human can bring that AI cannot bring.
Brilliant. And this is where, again, I have to repeat what I said. Man versus machine, man wins always.
Man has to.
Okay.
Maybe man will ensure that they win. That also could be
No. Just on a lighter note, but see,
lighter note, yeah.
This is what I'm saying. Any automation, for the matter, is produced to improve efficiencies. It's as simple as that. Okay. Now, AI running on the data footprints, we only have left human beings everywhere. The models are being built on those data only. We have exhibited our own footprints of behaviors. So, fair enough. However, the emotiveness of our behavior is never left as an imprint. And possibly that is the only caveat which algorithms, tools can't crack it. What do you say, Jitin, on this?
So, yeah, I think, see, it's going to be a journey. And as we spoken earlier also, is that the quality of the data is the most critical thing. And second is
Yeah.
the adoption from the people point of view. Okay. And the third is the technology, because technology is the most variable aspect. It will keep evolving,
Yeah.
and there will always be a better way of doing something which we are doing today. And that's what a large chunk of people are working on, to make it better and better. But I think the challenge is going to be that what are you feeding in is what is going to decide the
Correct.
output. And that feeding part, and because all of us have spent a good amount of years in the organization in accumulating the data, you know now that data quality is coming to get tested with the intelligence of the AI. So if the data quality is a challenge, you can get the best of the AI and it is not going to help you. So that is one area. The other thing is that the use cases which are getting created in the organization, are currently getting created in terms of eliminating recurring jobs or doing things which are really stretched out, and these use cases will have to sustain. So, because what I've always realized that in the name of automation, we should not create data points or reports which are not going to be used by anyone in the future, because now it is going to be done by a machine. So you just keep on creating reports which nobody is actually reading in. So that is one the challenge. So the use cases have to become more stronger and has to be purely business driven and not just because someone wanted to do something out of it. And the third is the technology piece. Technology, um, and I don't think any organization is going to build its own technology around it. What you will have to create is the pipe so that the data flows across all the funnel, and you're able to leverage that piece. So I think these are the three things which I primarily see. And in that use cases is what we need to work, to build a very strong use case so that there is a reason for investment in this space.
Indeed, for sure. आजकल I won't switch to Hindi. Cyber security, man, what's happening around? I think there is a news piece every day on this threat which is coming out from cyber. So, Sudhanshu, what exactly you think in this space you are using AI to minimize, if not overcome?
No, Amit, again, thank you for that question. Very pertinent question. Nowadays, the moment you flip a newspaper, you see a story that's of a cyber fraud of some nature. Now, for last decade, I would say, if we look at global threats, and World Economic Forum publishes top risks globally every year, and cyber security or cyber threat, it has been climbing ladders every year. It is one of the top 5 or top 3 risks for last few years now. Now, that is one of the most serious man-made threats globally. Threats are getting created only by humans, and now technology is helping on that side at a scale. So earlier it was more like cybercrime, which was very hacking focused, getting into systems, doing something notorious. Today it is more about manipulating human behavior. We are looking at scams, deep fakes, identity theft, ultimately leading to some kind of financial fraud. Because just like we are running our corporate setup and someone has a budget and ROI to prove, those entities on the other side, they also have exactly similar, or I would say more evolved model, where they are kind of pushing things or stretching things beyond what is feasibly possible, or there are state actors also involved in driving that particular industry. Now, the unfortunate reality is AI is also making attackers smarter and faster, making it more accessible as well. So if earlier, if I was technologically advanced, I could become a hacker. Today, I don't know anything, but I have an opportunity to become a hacker because there's so much help available and very accessible. Now, when we talk about cybersecurity, it has always relied on intelligent detection models, behavioral analysis, pattern recognition, and automated responses. So that is how it has kind of evolved. What has changed now is the scale, speed, and the sophistication, and it has increased significantly. Now, the challenge today is all the bad actors, they are leveraging technology to the fullest, and the unfortunate reality of our world is the bad actors lead and the industry follows. It's just like even when you look at a physical world where unscrupulous people kind of create newer ways of doing bad things, and then our law enforcement kind of goes after them. it's a similar situation on the digital side as well. Now, the challenge today is, uh, as I said, access to AI is for everyone. And we are talking about, and right now, even experiencing models like Mythos, Daybreak. These are models which are not publicly available, currently only reached to kind of focus group of companies globally. But just if I can talk about it, what they bring out is there are a lot of vulnerabilities when you design a software. Always there are certain vulnerabilities, and not just software. Even if you look at operating systems, etc., uh, there are vulnerabilities which so far we have not discovered, or some of the vulnerabilities have lived with us for years. Now, suddenly these models have come up. What they are doing, they are not only identifying those vulnerabilities, but they're also helping me, a hacker or a bad actor, with the exploit path. I'm telling you, they just see, this is the fort, and I will tell you where to attack it from, where the weakest kind of uh, the wall is weakest or the entry is easiest, and this is how you do it. So it's phenomenally kind of alarming at this stage. And the unfortunate reality is all our businesses across industry, for last so many decades, we have been pushing to become digital. Okay. Uh, the moment you have your footprints exposed, the vulnerabilities have multiplied, and suddenly someone is now telling me that I know every possible kind of loophole, and I can tell you how to kind of go and exploit it. But the interesting part is AI is also helping or becoming our stronger defense. That's the positive part. For example, when I talk about Quick Heal and Securite, Quick Heal has a business brand called Securite. We help companies, right from small organizations to countries, to help protect the critical infrastructure. Now, AI there comes in various forms and shape. We have our proprietary models like GoDeep.ai, which is the core of my technology. And exactly similar things would exist in other cybersecurity companies as well. We also have a generative interface called SIA, which makes it simple for everyone to experience. Now we are doing AI-driven fraud prevention. Amit, you talked about frauds. So we understand the behavior. We have a fraud prevention lab. We study the newer frauds which are emanating. We continuously are on the watch, identify the patterns. There's a lot of predictive intelligence which comes in threat detection. The behavioral analysis happens. There's a lot of AI-powered malware analysis that we do from one of the largest malware labs globally. And not only detection, there's a lot of remediation, fixing things which happen at machine speed, which is again automated, and AI is being used there at a very deeper scale. Now, from a cybersecurity kind of fraternity, we feel that if cyber criminals are weaponizing AI, cybersecurity companies must democratize AI power to protect every individual, enterprise, and government accounts. So that is what we believe in, and fundamentally working to ensure that cyber safety becomes a fundamental right for all of us, because we can't go back and not be digital. So that's not a choice. But if someone is on digital, we will ensure, and again, thanks to AI there, that we are able to do that and pass on that promise that you are safe when you are on digital. Thank you.
Thanks to you, Sudhanshu. It was some very much insightful, that it is not only the usage of technology for disruption, there is a lot of work going on for the protection by using the technology. It's really, really good news. Fantastic. See, having heard all of us for last 30, 40 odd minutes, one aspect I just want to bring it to for our audiences, that something called as machine learning integration for AI is also one practice which is prevailing, which is very, very useful. And I'm very fortunate enough myself to have hands-on with that. One of the real life use cases. I won't name the brand as such because I don't belong to it now. However, a specific patternized behavior exhibited by a product, which is a call it defect, right? Whether it is your electronic product or which is your automotive product, they exhibit a particular set of defects. So when it comes to after sales service domain, there's a wonderful use case implementation of machine learning, creating the models with the hardware integration and putting it through modeling and generative AI to face the customer for a quicker resolution of the defect. I hope I'm able to be understood on this. So we heard so many aspects about AI across the verticals, across domains and organizations. I just thought for the audience's interest, I should bring this topic about. There's something called as machine learning also, which is practically ongoing and it is being put to use for AI. Lovely. This brings me to a very open-ended question. Can we quickly help people who are listening us in terms of few tools you are using, or few tools you would like to people to know of to put to use? Anybody can take it up.
I mean, there are a lot of AI tools. I mean, there's no dearth of AI tools.
No, this is
I
this is
mean,
this is more from our audience's point of view.
okay, yeah, of course. I mean, the cloud, is like the most talked about tool. Of course, you can continue to use your, Chat GPTs of the world, Gemini's, and cloud. And cloud is something that you can be a little more technical and start creating Coworker and all of that, right? So those are the tools. Of course, there are a lot of other, like if you are into design or any other, a lot of design tools and video tools, all of that, but we can use, I mean, you can use. But maybe, yeah, I'll also maybe uh, ask my fellow panelists to share some of the tools for the audience.
See, for
Anything?
us, we have been on the enterprise side, so we use the Gemini Enterprise piece for project management. Cloud design is one aspect which we use. We also have a tool called Solus, which is a search engine recommendation, which is a AI tool which we are using. Uh, there are multiple. We also have a Copilot, which we have been using for internal communication. So I think the good part is that a lot of tools are getting developed based on the use cases, the way it is coming up. Uh, I foresee that this will become a very specialized piece. Right now, we are at a very broader level of tool development, but as it goes along, there might be tools which are available for industry specific or customer specific thing, because more and more use cases will start getting developed, and that's where the evolution will happen. So there might be a retail AI piece which will come up. There might be a cybersecurity stack for AI. So I think those are the things which I foresee that this will go into that direction.
Yeah, of course, of course, of course. The whole intent of this query was just being generic about if we are using what we are using. So simple. Not to demote or promote a particular tool. The whole intent was to express to the audiences that this is actual implementation going on, right? And which is how we started this whole thing. AI being everywhere, but where it is and how it is. Perfect. Now, this brings me to a very interesting question again, to the open-ended question in terms of all of us. Did you feel any challenges internally of carrying out these initiatives? Because this is something which is not so well augmented or known to anybody and everybody in the organizations. So any challenges being faced? How did you navigate those challenges?
So Amit, let me take that. See,
Yeah, please.
one of the challenges that I see is mindset itself, right? And again, there are multiple dimensions. So the moment you have access to tool, you want access to every tool. Okay, we do not treat it, as a resource constraint. Right now, we are thinking that it's just one of the tools. But when we are looking at automating processes, when we are looking at creating parallel teams, the thought process shouldn't change, because till yesterday, when we are budgeting for resources, there is a very judicious process set where you're looking at how many people you need, what at what level, etc. And then there is a lot debate on ROI and why you need it. So that's one thing that we need to also replicate to the choice of tools, because there's so many available new tools coming every day. So how do we make a judicious choice of what is going to help us sustain in the long run? Now, can everyone afford, say, Claude, for example, or do we go to something else? Should we automate everything on make.com, or maybe look at simpler open source solutions which can help us do something similar, but it becomes more sustainable, or develop something in-house? Again, these are all choices that we need to take. And at the end of the day, everything is a change management. So the process itself of adopting AI requires a lot of homework to be done, because if you need to do it effectively, the house has to be in order. And I think Jiten talked about quality of data, systems talking to each other. All of that has to happen before we will have the effective outcome that we are all looking for, because it's a holy grail that we are chasing, but we need to kind of set the uh, goals right, and we need to look at it as an opportunity and everyone come together. So that is one of the biggest challenge right now, because currently it is left to maybe different teams pick their own tools. Organizations need to come together to see how or what is the best tech stack which helps achieve the organizational objective.
Brilliant, Sudhanshu. Actually, you have put in a very subtle manner, for sure. I'm sure while implementing it, must have been lots of question marks, because on the hearsay, it looks like a magic wand. It's AI. सब possible है, पैसे बचते हैं, लोग कम होते हैं, resources are less required. So I was talking more on those terms in terms of implementation challenges, because expectations suddenly, on the hearsay, they rise like hell. Just because you have a tool, the whole world will change tomorrow. So but that's not the fact. And this is was my meaning of asking this question. And
No, exactly. And
this
even
brings
the
me
influencers
to
the
go on,
influencers
please.
also have done their bits. A lot of reels where you see magic happening with click of button and revenue flowing in,
Yeah,
everything in
correct.
seconds.
Yeah,
Which if we don't understand, we assume that is the reality, and that's where the expectations get misaligned.
correct. And in this context, in continuity of this question, my question is now to Vinod in particular, in terms of, have you seen companies, Vinod, trying to make use of any flavor of AI across the various verticals in the company, be it logistics, be it product planning or product development or finance, not just about marketing?
So I think the answer is yes and no, I would say, because it depends on what, let's say, as an organization, which of the function needs more critical optimization or automation. Those functions kind of jump onto the bandwagon. However, I think I've not heard a story where a particular organization has used AI across all departments. Maybe the startups may be doing it in some fashion or the other, but established legacy organizations have to deal with the legacy system. It takes time. Maybe a particular department is little ahead in terms of the AI journey. Other departments are just starting when they may be on a stage 1 or a stage 2. So that's how it is. But I think I see this becoming more and more important. I see as in the organization, the functional leaders have a mandate of using AI, automation, and digital transformation. That mandate exists today, but yeah, there are different functions that are at different level.
Well, thank you. I think hearing all of you had been not just informative and intelligent, it was also very, very practical in terms of, the implementation aspect of AI, as to where it is being put to use and where it is actually deriving benefits, and also setting a direction in where it could be used or it should be used in that manner. So this was something, which was very, very good point we could take away from what we heard from all three of you. It is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So I would invite Faisal if we have any audience questions to be answered by anybody.
Yeah, there was one from Disha that Vinod has given answer to from marketing standpoint, but I'll just call out the question. The question is, as AI automates routine tasks, what human skills are becoming even more valuable in different industry?
So who
Anyone
have
can.
you? Anyone can take it. Then I think I would invite Jitin for this answer.
So I'll just repeat it. You're saying how important is the as AI automates routine tasks, what human skills are becoming even more valuable? See, I think it's a beautiful question. I think one of the key thing what we are realizing is that uh, your functionality, understanding of a function in an industry is evolving because each function and industry is evolving. I think what is extremely important is that if you're able to bring in objectivity or an analytical skill to the conversation, I think this is one skill. Earlier, it used to be kept at one part of the function that we need analytics people for doing this. Today, I think the skill of analytics and letting go of what is not required is required across the domain, across functions, across whether you are in a marketing, whether you are in a sales, because um, that will, and when we talk about data quality, that is what is actually going to be. So if, let's say, if I'm interacting with the customer and I need five data points from that customer, I need to be sensible enough to understand that if I get this three, I'm 70% there, and that's where the AI will come in. But in the process of trying to do the whole thing, not getting the whole input. So I think this uh, pragmatic and more analytical skill set, whether you are in a creative space um, or if you are in a number churning thing, is becoming more and more important. That's what I am gathering while interacting across.
Absolutely. Well, I think we are getting against the time.
Yeah.
So in my thought, the best way to conclude this would be something beautifully came by one of you. The world tomorrow is going to be just known as humans with AI and humans without AI. So the bottom lines is AI will coexist with humans and humans making it or breaking it to their uses. And usage has begun. It's a long journey. So an urge is to be intelligent and use the defensive, protective side of AI more for the benefits. Thank you, HRAI, for sure. Thank you, Vinod, Sudhanshu, Jitin. It was fab hearing you. We'll off track, we'll keep connecting for sure. Kachori is being already ordered to Sudhanshu Tripathi ji. Brilliant. Faisal, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Amit, for skillfully steering the discussion and ensuring a seamless flow of ideas and excellent engagement. We truly appreciate your dedication and commendable moderation. Thank you to all our esteemed panelists. For those eager to learn and grow, the recording of today's session is available on our YouTube link shared in the chat window. Thank you to all our participants for being part of this session. Your presence has made this discussion even more meaningful. We look forward to welcoming you to our next session on the topic from representation to participation, rethinking inclusion at every level on June 4, 2026. With that, we conclude today's webinar. Thank you for being part of this journey. Take care and farewell for now. Thank you all. Thank you,
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Sudhanshu.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Thank
Faisal.
Amit.
you.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you, Amit
Thank
ji.
you, Jitin.
Thank you.
Yes.